quick overview of our chapter that we're going to be looking at for this week. This week is chapter 3, which is taxes in your financial plan and looking at taxes for the future. As much as people complain and gripe about taxes, taxes are inevitable and you do have to pay them, or else you're going to go to jail for tax evasion. So let's look at the 4 objectives of chapter 3. The first one is to identify the major tax types within our society. First of all, we have sales tax, and we pay sales tax on everything we buy. Sales tax is a fair way of taxing because everybody pays the same amount no matter what they buy. Another one is excise taxes. We have property taxes. If you purchase land or house, then you're going to pay property taxes on that. Estate taxes. Estate taxes are taxes that are imposed on an estate of a person that has passed, and then they are leaving that estate to you. One thing, and it goes along with gift taxes. One thing that if your parents are wealthy and you know that when they die, you're going to have a very large inheritance, one thing that you might talk with them about, and you can show it to them in the book, so they may understand it, is that they can gift you a certain amount every year, and I think it's up to $10,000 a year. That is yours tax free. You do not have to pay taxes on it. But your parents will say, well, I may need this amount in my later years. We went through that with my parents, and my parents were not wealthy, but we did not want to have to pay taxes on money that my parents had worked very hard for and had saved to be able to give to my sisters and myself as an inheritance from their estate. So for the past 5 years of their life, what they did was they gave us $10,000 each year, which was tax-free. And what we did was we did not spend that money. We took it and put it in a safety deposit box that was in my name as the executor, and then their names also where they could get to it. And if a financial crisis came up and they needed that money, we knew that it was their money and it was in that safety deposit box for them to use. So that's just a way of that you might talk with your parents about putting money aside so that you don't have to pay gift taxes. Another thing is Social Security. A lot of people are under the assumption that once you start drawing Social Security, you do not have to pay taxes again. Yes, you do. You still have to pay taxes on your Social Security checks if you ever received one, which most of you are younger and probably never going to see Social Security. So it's vital that you look at taxes and know that you're going to have to pay them, and count that in as you're thinking about your doing a budget, that what you make is not going to be your bring home pay. You are going to pay taxes. And so this chapter is going to help you find some ways that you can minimize those taxes. The second objective is to calculate your taxable income and how much you're going to owe for your federal income tax. Every year on April 15th, you have to have filed an income tax, and by that you would have how much was your money, how much did you have taken out, and if you've paid more than it's supposed to have been, you're going to get a refund. If you haven't paid enough, then you're going to have to pay it. 2 things in this objective that you want to be aware of. First of all is tax avoidance. Tax avoidance will help you learn ways that you can minimize the taxes that you are paying by investing and getting different ways. One of them is you can get pre-tax dollars for health care when you go to work, and that's a way of minimizing some taxes that you would pay. One thing you do not want to do is called tax evasion, and tax evasion is actually defrauding the government, not paying your taxes, claiming more exemptions than you had. You cannot claim your dog. You cannot claim an animal. And you can't claim more exemptions than that's in your household. So you want to look at that because there's a very, very stiff penalty for that. You can go to prison if it's large and you don't have the money to pay it back. You do have to pay a severe penalty. So don't even think about practicing tax evasion. The third objective is to prepare a federal income tax return to know which form you want to use. Do you want to do a 1040 easy, which is very simple and easy to do, or do you want to itemize? You have to have a certain amount of your gross income in order to be able to itemize, and then you look at the deductions that you can take. So under that objective, it's just knowing which form would be best for you to fill out. As a student, you're probably going to be on your parents' income tax form, so you would not be doing one unless you had a part-time job and you received a 1099 or a form that's showing how much you made. So you want to make sure that you are completing your income tax form on time. And then the last objective, of course, is the most important one, and it's selecting the appropriate tax strategies for various life situations. Again, how to minimize paying so much taxes, because you're not only paying federal taxes, you're going to pay state taxes. Depending on where you live, you may end up having to pay county taxes. So taxes can take a big chunk out of your paycheck. When we're doing our budget in my on-campus class, I actually tell them to take their gross amount they're going to make and take about 30 to 35% for taxes. They don't like to do that, but again, it is something you have to do. So that is just a quick overview of chapter 3. Make sure that you look at this chapter and you read it, and that you think about some ways that you can minimize your taxes. Also keep in mind, for this week, you have a Learn Smart. You actually have a quiz. This week, you are going to have your first discussion board question. I put you in groups. I think there's like 5 or 6 that's in each group. So you will and everybody has the same question, but with so many in our class, I didn't want you, to have to say, well, who do I need to respond to this week? So you will post your discussion board question, and it should be posted by Thursday at 11:55. It needs to be 150 words, and then you need to respond to 2 other people within your group by Sunday night at 11:55. And don't put on your response, and make sure you look at your syllabus to see kind of how I've told you to do that. Make sure that you don't respond, I agree with you. You need to go in. It has to be 100 to 125 words, I believe. But again, double check these words. Again, that has to be posted by Sunday night at 11:55. And then you have a case study. Now, some of you were very confused about the case study. The case study is always found at the end of the chapter in your book. I believe it's going to be on page 102, 103. There is, again, a video in EagleWeb that just reads the case study to you, and you are going to answer question 1 and 5 to be uploaded to EagleWeb. So that is your work for this week. If you are one of our athletes, I hope you did great this week. I know everybody was out Friday because we had a lot of people traveling. Happy Labor Day. Enjoy your weekend. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.